All societies have been concerned about culture and about tourism. All societies have been concerned not recently, but from when history began, about the preservation and the promotion of their cultures. The fear that their own history might be swamped and might be lost when new forms of communication come and when communication increases between cultures. This kind of fear existed when radio came in and when television began to beam programs made in Western countries into societies and cultures that were not similar to the values that were shared by the Western countries. Therefore, many countries in the Asia Pacific have expressed a concern for the preservation and promotion of their culture, for the protection of their historical monuments and for their documents. And this concern comes out of a fear that a culture could face extinction or could be completely wiped out globally, and that there is a loss of national culture taking place among younger segments of society, especially in the age of globalization, where connections between countries exist, and liberalization, which has been one byproduct of the economic opening up of many societies. Keeping this in mind and keeping that it is necessary to protect the indigenous people's cultures and to protect local cultures, the Tokyo Declaration on Asia Pacific Perspectives to the World Summit on Information Society drew attention to the rich cultural diversity and heritage of this region. In turn, the WSIS commitment and agenda for action recognized that in the evolution of the information society, particular attention must be paid to the special situation of indigenous people as well as to the preservation of the heritage and cultural legacy. And countries in the Asia Pacific region are rich, very rich in cultural diversity and heritage and are concerned about its protection. In order to use ICTs, and these can be very well used to protect and present and prevent loss of cultural diversity and to promote the use of our own country's culture products, a carefully planned strategy in the use of ICTs to preserve culture would include digitization. That means the documentation in digital form of existing cultural resources such as monuments, photographs, music, other kinds of visual, and the creation of fresh digital products such as videos, animations, tutorials, booklets and interactive websites that outline histories and cultures. Once digitization is done, then we can go about distributing through the use of existing and emerging technologies and the contemporary cultural modes of expression, including Web 2 applications, so that these cultures can be promoted across the world and there is intercultural communication taking place. There are 6 main areas where ICTs can play an effective role. First of those is to determine intellectual and physical access to records. For example, to provide scholars with access to ancient manuscripts. A second would be documentation and recording of sites such as ruins, of temples, of monuments, of mausoleums, so that things that would otherwise degrade and disintegrate can be saved. The same photograph, the same information that is collected this way has many contexts in which it can be interpreted, whether it is to show about environment, whether it is to show about religion, culture. So, there are many multiple interpretive contexts in which such digitized material can be used. Digitizing our own material enables us to preserve authenticity and then to balance visitors with conservation. As you know, very often conditions of weather, lighting, sunlight affect many a monument and many a painting and many a photograph. Balancing visitors with conservation is one area in which ICTs can help to play a role. and facilitating public participation in the ways in which cultural heritage can be preserved. One example in the Asia Pacific region that I draw your attention to is CenterNet. Fairly recent, CenterNet is an international network of digital humanities centers. In Asia, these centers are located in Japan and in Taiwan. And at these centers, documents, speeches, transcripts, old manuscripts have been digitized and made available to scholars for their further study and to people interested in these resources. For example, there is a center for Buddhist studies located in Taiwan. While we are busy preserving culture, while we are busy promoting our cultural diversity and our heritage, the use of ICTs also to promote rural tourism is another way of promoting local cultures. Yes, ICTs are used in tourism on a national level and in national plans, but at the same time rural tourism, the visits of domestic and international tourists to small communities, is largely an individual or small business oriented enterprise and may or may not have a mass appeal, unlike mainstream tourism promoted by tourism development boards. From booking accommodation and tours electronically through websites to reviewing digital archives of photographs and other materials located and locally created and displayed worldwide, would have an effect of improving rural tourism and promoting rural destinations without causing environment or ecological damage. At the same time, creating digital stories with digital sound and light shows that showcase local history are also ways of promoting and preserving culture. Essentially then, in protecting our culture, we can use ICTs to digitize our manuscripts and documents. We can create digital stories about archaeological heritage. We can disseminate these resources through web-based and offline systems, and communities individually can create websites to promote their own localities as tourism destinations, providing a new form of income and economic development locally. Go to any search engine, look at the internet and search for information about your local community. Make a list of all the features that are given there. Make a wish list of all the additional features that you think will improve the site. Build the content for your local community e-tourism site by listing all the information that you would like to see on a website. Also read through some of the other examples of local protecting local culture and of rural tourism that are provided in your text. This brings us to the end of section 2, where we have looked at applications of ICTs in various sectors, from the very basic sectors of poverty to the more aesthetic sectors of cultural history and of rural tourism. This list and these sectors are by no means exhaustive, nor are they exclusive. There are many more cases and many more applications. The idea of this section was to give you a flavor or a taste or an appetizer of what are the possibilities of using ICTs in development. The rest of it is up to your imagination, but as we will see in the next section, as important as the imagination, as important as new intervention, as important as describing all of these are issues of project management and research, ICTD management, which we will be dealing with in section 3. As of now, we come to the end of section 2.